Welcome back guys to another video, and today we have really interesting article over here on Medium, and the link will be down in the description. So instead of just reading through it and giving you my opinion on it, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to leave a link down in the description, and I'm going to give you my side of a story. So this article is about money, and money is of course the most important thing in life. And you might not think that, but you actually think about money maybe 100 times per day, and so do I. Everything I do in my life is eventually to accumulate more money. And you might not think that, but just remember last time when you went to the store, why didn't you just buy the most expensive thing? That is because you wanted to end up at the end of that day with more money. And of course, you care about money and you spend majority of your day thinking about it and working towards increasing that one little artificial number. And when people say that Bitcoin is not real, that it is just an illusion, it is just few numbers on the internet. What do I say to those people? I tell them so is every other currency in the world. Take for example US dollar, euros, British pounds, any other currency in the world. It is nothing else but a few numbers on the internet or in a database. And when they say people buy Bitcoin just to sell it to somebody else, that it is just a greater false idea, so is everything else, so is every other currency in the world. You maybe work 8, 10, 12 hours per day just to get this one number in your bank account increased by another number. And when you take a look at it, then you realize that you work your whole life, that everything you do just revolves around increasing that one number. And when you have maybe $1 million and then you have $10 million, nothing actually changed. Instead of just one little zero was added. So one extra byte of information was added, and now you have 10 times more money than you had before. And you worked your whole entire life just to increase that one single digit in a bank account. How insane is that? And if you think that money is backed by something, that it actually has some intrinsic value, you're actually wrong. It doesn't have any value, and 90% of the money is just in digital form and only 10% of the money is in paper form. But even that paper form isn't actually worth anything. If you think that it is hard to make money on a piece of paper, that money is valuable but some magical thing, it is not. It doesn't work like that. This money that you see on a paper, maybe like on $100 bill, it only costs them few cents to make. And just now imagine you have $100 bill, and if they would just change every single $100 bill that they make to $1 billion bill, or to make it simpler, to $1 million bill, they would just need to add 4 extra zeros on that piece of paper, and it would cost them the same amount as $100 bill. And then every single bill would be worth 10,000 times more than it was worth before. And why would it be worth so much more just because they added few extra zeros on that bill? Of course, the economy would collapse if that would happen, but that can happen. You have seen that in Zimbabwe they were actually printing $100 trillion bills, and that bill didn't cost them anything more than maybe 100 Zimbabwe dollar bill few years before that hyperinflation happened. And before, money was backed by gold, but that doesn't actually mean anything because it isn't backed by gold anymore. It isn't backed by gold for decades now, and only thing that money has is trust of other people, that they will be able to exchange it to somebody else for the product that that person made. And this is also the greater false idea if you take a look at it like that, just as a Bitcoin, because if you say that Bitcoin is greater false idea, so is every single currency in the world. And every single currency in the world by now collapsed. Currencies mostly last like up to 1,000 years, and then they just collapse because of printing of money. And nobody can stop that. Governments say that they won't print money, that they will get money other ways, but the greediness takes them over and they just decide to print money. Now I'm giving a lot of examples in US, but I'm not from the US, so I don't have the knowledge that some of you people would have, but US is, as far as I know, printing trillions of dollars per year, and where do those dollars come from? If you ask yourself that, then you realize that they just print them out of nothing, and it costs them only a few cents to print them, and they could just print hundreds of trillions of dollars just like that. And what would happen then? Every single dollar that you have right now would be worth less, and inflation is taking over every single currency in the world. Show me one currency in the world that is worth more now than it was maybe like 20 years ago. You can't show me any other currency than cryptocurrencies that are happening right now. So if you've invested in cryptocurrencies like in last year, 2 years, 3 years ago, you would have more value than if you would be holding any other currency, fiat currency in the world. And this is the problem, that people need to realize that money is not real. Nothing is actually real. Now, cryptocurrencies are a lot different, and I think that they will eventually save our economy, and that the biggest wealth transfer in history will take place in maybe 10 years. So, when you talk about Bitcoin, and when people say, well, more Bitcoins can be created, of course, more than 21 million Bitcoins can get created if the code changes. Now, code can change, and we can put the maximum cap of Bitcoins to maybe 100 million instead of 21 million. But if I personally don't want to accept it, and I say no, I think that maximum should be 21 million, I can refuse to use your chain, and I can just continue to use the old chain that has the maximum cap of 21 million. Now, show me a person that can so simply say, well, I'm not going to support your printing of money, and I'm just going to use old dollars that have more value per piece. You don't even get that kind of an option. They just decide to print the money, and your money is automatically worth less and less every single year. And if you would save your money maybe for like 50 years, for your whole life, then every dollar that you saved at the beginning of starting to save that money, would after 50 years maybe be worth only 20 cents of buying power. And this is why we need cryptocurrencies. We need them to store our wealth and to secure them from losing value. And then when you hear countries like Venezuela now, or Greece before, or maybe like even Zimbabwe, which is right now banning cryptocurrencies, when they say they're just going to print more money to fix the problem, that is not going to fix the problem. And if you would just hold Venezuelan dollars, and maybe let's say you have 1,000 Venezuelan dollars, and first day you can buy 5 loaves of bread, and the next day you can only buy 4 of them, and then you can buy 3 of them, 2 of them, and in maybe a month you cannot even buy bread anymore. And if you would just hold Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies which didn't crash like 99%, people would tell you that cryptocurrency can crash, you're risking your money. But those people are not risking so much by investing in cryptocurrencies as they are risking investing into their own country's currency. Their country's currency is using 10, 20, 30% of the value every single day, and they cannot buy anything. They work whole month just to buy maybe 10 eggs, but if they would just invest that money or just buy Bitcoin, and if let's say Bitcoin would lose 90% of the value in the next month, they would still be happy. And you know why would they be happy? Because their country's currency maybe lost 95% of the value, but Bitcoin only lost 90% of the value. And of course, we don't have such huge drops where Bitcoin loses 90% of the value in like a week or two. It has been known to lose 90% of the value, but that was through a span of a few months. And in span of a few months, those countries that are currently facing hyperinflation, their currencies will lose almost all the value. And then when you realize that money is not real, that money is just a number in a bank account, and that printing of money is controlled by few individuals that we don't know the names of, then you realize that you spend your whole life, you spend every single minute almost thinking about money, which is completely useless, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad seeing people work every single day, whole day, getting so worried about it, having so many problems just because of that single thing called money. And this can all be fixed, and it can be fixed with cryptocurrencies, which can avoid hyperinflation. So if you worked your entire life and if you saved that money, if you put aside maybe 5, 10, 20% every single month, you should be able to have the same amount of buying power in 20 years as you had 20 years before that. And this is not happening with normal currencies, it is only happening right now with cryptocurrencies. Of course, it is all just speculation, and cryptocurrencies can fail. We can see something a lot better than cryptocurrencies, something a lot more advanced can happen, which we cannot even think about right now, because if you would talk to somebody in 2000, tell them about Ethereum, you would try to explain them about Ethereum, which didn't exist back then, they would tell you that you're insane, why would somebody buy that? And of course, something like that could be in production right now, and we might think about that this is insane, why would somebody use that? But this could come and overtake cryptocurrencies and be worth so much more than cryptocurrencies. But hopefully the cryptocurrencies will stay with us for 10, 20, 50 or maybe even like 100 years, and we will see this market develop to the new sky highs that we cannot even imagine right now. Just think about somebody who can print money, and this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. They can print $100 bill, and if they would just decide to print one bill, which is $100 trillion bill. Just imagine that it happened in Zimbabwe, as I said before, but now just imagine it with US dollars. So this one person decides, go ahead and print me this $100 trillion bill. Of course, probably most likely that would not be allowed and somebody would take notice of that, but just stay with me and think about it. If somebody would print $100 trillion bill and they wouldn't tell anyone. So this person would be the richest person in the world that has ever lived just because it added few extra zeros on a piece of paper. So this person that we all give power to, we all give them power because we accept their fiat currencies that are basically worthless. We work for them, we sweat for them, we cry for them, and we give them power to print money, and that person could just say, add 10 extra zeros and I will take that bill, I will have $100 trillion bill, and I will have the power to control the whole world just because those people are working for it. They are working for it, they are sweating for it, and they accept it as maybe it has some value, but it actually doesn't have any value. So think about it, let me know what you think about it down in the comment section, and hopefully I will be able to answer some of your questions that you might have, because I read a lot about money, I think a lot about it, and other people do also think about it. And maybe I can give you a little better explanation of some things that might be worrying you, and see you soon in another video. So, bye.